fix one thing.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Philadelphia SMPTE Chapter's webinar with Grass Valley. Thank you for taking the time today to participate in this webinar. I apologize, we've had some technical difficulties moving forward with it and producing this one today. Thanks for all the patience and understanding. Today we have two sessions here, basically two webinars in one from Grass Valley. The first presentation is by Scott Clary on GV gaming and polling. This is a real-time interactive model creating dialogue and participation with a remote audience, turning passive viewers into active participants. The second presentation is for Belal. He'll demonstrate the new GV Alyve platform. It's a cloud-based platform for content aggregation, editing, production, distribution, and monetization. As a reminder, we have a Q&A session available for you to ask questions, add comments, and interact with us. Keep in mind that it's about 15 to 20 seconds behind the live presentation. The Q&A is real time when you interact with each other, though. So we'll gladly answer your questions at the end of each session and at the end of the webinar that you have, and we'll present the questions to each presenter for the webinar. That being said, thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to turn this over to Scott. And Scott, go ahead, take it away. This is
hey everyone.
Presentation now.
Yeah, sure. Okay, perfect. Hope everyone's doing okay, and thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. So I'm going to be speaking about Grass Valley Gaming and Polling solution. We're going to do a quick overview, talk about the actual product itself, and then do a demo. Now, to kick this off, I don't want to spend too long on this because we did spend a lot of time, but to show you how it works, please, if everyone could go to gvpoll.com. And when you go to gvpoll.com, you will see a very short survey. I want you to answer that to give you an idea of how this actually, the product actually works. So if you can take a second and go there for me. So when you go to gvpoll.com, you see a poll that says, what's the first thing you're going to do after quarantine? And, we'll see what everyone wants to do or what they have to do. But most of us probably end up going back to the office, maybe go to a bar or a pub. But to show you what GV Poll is all about, it's all about getting feedback from an audience in real time. And right now, we're doing it on a webinar. How we do it for a lot of our customers is obviously through broadcast. So on screen, on air, games, polls, contests, and trivia. So I'm going to come back to this. If you're able to vote, and I'll come back to this and see what the winner is. I'm surprised that I know we have to go back to the office, but I think that most of us, at least in my opinion, I'd rather go back to a bar or a pub than go back to the office. But I digress. So gaming and polling at its core is audience engagement. So you are turning traditional broadcast into a two-way interaction, and you've seen this product before. So when you look at this is an esports example, but it could be traditional sports, it could be news, it could be a talk show, it could be it could be the Grammys, it could be the Oscars, anything that there is a way to engage and excite and get the audience participating. That's what Grass Valley Gaming and Polling is all about. So you usually have how it's usually portrayed on screen. You'll have an event going on, and there'll be a call to action. There'll be something that comes on lower third or a portion of the screen, and it's asking the audience to vote on what's going on the screen. So these are just a couple examples of how it looks. And, there's two esports examples back to back, but obviously it's not just for esports. Here's a nice little regular sports talk show where they're asking all-time best NBA player, and the results come in. They're displayed on there, beautiful graphics, and obviously it keeps the people engaged. And also for the broadcaster, if you'll notice that almost everyone that will ever use or put up, they'll be sponsored by somebody. So they'll be sponsored by Nike. They'll be sponsored by this one's by Nike. It's a But it doesn't really matter. The whole point is you're asking the audience to engage, and you're keeping them sort of participating in the show, so that it's not just a one-way communication between the broadcaster and the audience. Here's another, obviously not a correct example, but it's a mock-up of something just to show you the type of things that we can do. So sliding scale, and a variety of different things, games, contests, trivia. Now, the way that this actually works and how it actually gets on screen is we have a software that creates the games, polls, contests, trivia. I'll show you the software in a second. And then we take the inputs, so the question and the answers, and then we map those to graphics. So we map them to beautiful HTML5 graphics that are usually custom branded, custom font, all built for the customer, for the end user, depending on what their requirements are. And then once we build that, the graphic will take on the properties of the question and the answers, and then we'll crop that through any traditional graphics infrastructure or system and bring that on air. So we actually API in. We have authentication tokens that allow any of the graphic systems that you can see here, or any others that maybe aren't listed here, to bring the graphics that we build and create and map out in our backend software, and then we are able to put those and present those live on screen. The gaming and polling is a SaaS product, so it's all software as a service. So that means that there is no infrastructure or hardware required. It is 100% cloud and virtual, which makes it very easy. All you need is username, password to log in, create your games, polls, trivia. You map it to the graphics, and then we crop it and push it out onto the screen wherever you'd like to see it. So to show you what it looks like, I'm going to go into the back end, but to show you what it looks like if you're actually going to see it on air, this is a great example. NBC used it for The Challenge, which is a football talk show, and they incorporated a trivia component. So they used our back end. They obviously built some beautiful custom graphics. They were asking questions, and users were answering the questions and winning prizes. And obviously that excited the users, while simultaneously giving NBC the opportunity to sponsor this segment, and each episode, or each week rather, had a different sponsor. So I'll show you what that actually looked like when I'll show you a quick clip. Now, this is sort of just reiterating what I just said, but it was audience engagement post-football. They had the trivia questions, and then people were engaging, answering questions. And then obviously for NBC, it was great for fan engagement, but also for sponsorship opportunity. So here's what it looked like when they actually ran it on screen.
Hello everyone, time now for question 1 of the challenge presented by DraftKings. If you're playing online or on our free NBCLA app, be on the gameplay page and click on A, B, or C. Here's the question. Who was the last expansion team to join the NFL? Welcome back, Danny Velasco. You just won 4 tickets to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios just for answering question 1 presented by DraftKings. Congratulations.
Okay, you might.
So a few things to take away there. How they ran it is how a lot of people run it. So you have the question presented, you have the beautiful graphics, you have the sponsorship by DraftKings, you have a second sponsor for the actual tickets that were given away, and the winner is chosen almost instantaneously because the results are live and coming in. So that's a great way to actually envision how our software translates to being used in broadcast. And obviously broadcast is one way, but we've also used it with a variety of stadiums. So, you know, Jumbotrons during halftime, big screens, anywhere you can launch one of these and set it up so that you're engaging and exciting the audience.
One of the challenge.
So now let me show you what that actually looks like under the hood. So how do you actually set these up? Also actually, this is a really good point. I'm glad that I clicked over to this window. Another way that we've used it for broadcast, I want to give you one more use case before I go to showing you how we actually set up these polls. So I showed a live example with NBC. This is an example for pre-recorded television. So there was a show called Trivial Takedown, and it was basically a celebrity quiz show. So they were asking the celebrities on the show trivia, and the celebrities would answer, and they would win points and whatnot. But obviously, Trivial Takedown and the producer Fuse wanted to take it a step further, and they wanted to engage the audience. So when does your audience move away from the broadcast? Well, it's usually during a commercial break. That's when they change the channel, they get distracted, whatnot, they go get food, whatever. So Fuse and Trivial Takedown wanted to keep people engaged during that commercial break for pre-recorded content on regular television, just so they wouldn't lose their audience and their viewership. So what they did is right before a commercial break, they would ask a question that was obviously related to some of the trivia that was being asked of the celebrities. And they were asking that question to the audience. There was a call to action saying, go to fuse.tv/play, where the audience could go, they could register an account, they could answer questions that were in line with the themes or the questions or the topics that were being presented on the actual broadcast. They could win prizes for answering correctly. And by the time they were done answering these questions, then the show had come back on, the commercial break was over, and they were continuously engaged with the broadcast, and they didn't sort of go do something else. So that was a great way to maintain that fan engagement. So that's two really good examples of how broadcasters generally use it. Now let's look under the hood, and just being cognizant of time because we started late. So let me look under the hood and show you what it actually looks like. So when you look under the hood, there's that poll that I ran originally. So I said, where do you want to go after the quarantine is done? Bar, vacation away from family, go back to the office. One practical answer, two other types of answers. But it shows you that in real time you're getting that feedback, and then you are seeing that feedback on your dashboard. Now remember, I mentioned this is a software as a service. So this is what the back end looks like when I log in with a username and password, where I see all of my polls, I see all of my engagement, but most importantly, I'm going to walk you through how to actually set one up from scratch. So if I wanted to set something up from scratch, to show you how simple it is, I go to create new poll. I'm typing out a question, what day is it today? It's my easiest go-to question for presentations. So, you can do Monday, you can do Tuesday, you can add as many options as you'd like. You can have sentiment, so you can get an audience's opinion about something. You can obviously have trivia where they can sign up, and if they respond to something, then their response is tracked against the right answer, so they can win points for getting the right answer. They don't win points for getting the wrong answer. So any type of way you can pose a question, doesn't always have to be a right, wrong, it can be sentiment, it can be open-ended feedback. Perhaps you want them to give some feedback, or you want to answer their questions they may have. So that's another way that you can set these up. But the point being, it's very simple. You log in, you're typing in questions, you're choosing how you'd like the audience to vote. So perhaps they want to use SMS, perhaps you want to use web, which is probably one of the most popular options. We can even enable voting on social sites. So when we do that, all the results that you see on the back end, if I enable SMS, if I enable web, if I enable social, all the results across all of those platforms are aggregated into one spot where I can see all my data from all my different sources, but I am running one poll for everything, or perhaps I just want SMS, or perhaps I just want web. So after I choose how I want people to be able to respond, in the platform, I can choose some preloaded templates. Usually for most companies, we're going to set up some custom images, some custom brands, colors, templates, whatnot. We do it end to end. So what that means is, of course, we have the software, but for a lot of these types of implementations, we're helping them think through the customer experience, mapping out exactly how the customer is going to engage, interact, what they want the workflow to be like. We can take care of the graphic design completely, creating the templates and whatnot. Of course, if it's a large enough company, they'll take care of that themselves, or they'll want to take care of that themselves, but we can definitely help them out with that, no problem at all. So it could be a one-stop shop for everything to deliver this, and they just basically have to broadcast it on air. So you can change your templates, you can change your background, you can upload templates and backgrounds on the fly. I have a couple advanced options. So after somebody votes, what do I want to show them after they vote? Do I want to show them the results like I've shown them here? Perhaps I want to show them nothing. I can show them the correct option if there is a correct option. Sometimes there is a correct option. Sometimes I just want to get their feedback. I can link polls, so I can do, you know, a couple different polls in sequence. I can also change how many times I'd like them to be able to vote. So I want them to vote once, unlimited, or a custom amount. So there's some things that I can actually set up. When I link polls, I can do in sequence, or perhaps I even want to create it so that when they answer, they can get sent to a landing page. That could be another option. Maybe if they answer option A, they get sent to a link, and when they answer option B, they get sent to another link, another poll, or another landing page. So it could almost be something akin to choose your own adventure. So these are all different ways that we can set this up, all built into the platform and all very simple and easy to set up for somebody who is extremely non-technical, so that it's not so hard to set it up and run it almost on the fly. So as you can see, I put in the question, I put in my options, I click launch poll, and the second that poll is launched, now if I had this set up so that it was being broadcast out, if I had been cropping this through some sort of broadcast software, then right away that poll is now live. So if you went to gbpoll.com, you would now see the live poll that I just put up on this call available for people to vote on. And people can vote live instantaneously. So that's just to show you the simplicity of it. Now, we have a variety of different on-air templates. Obviously, these are going to be, these are just the boilerplate templates. We have beautiful templates that we use for on-air graphics, as you saw with NBC. But these are just the very basic boilerplate templates just to show you the functionality. But the second somebody votes, you're seeing that number move on screen. And this is literally what's cropped through VizRT, ROS, Chiron, anything that you use to get your graphics on there, and it can update. And that's one of the fun features of it, right? So you can see that bar, you can see that percentage moving as you're watching on screen. So that more or less is the gaming and polling platform. Options in terms of implementing are truly limitless. It's really up to, you know, what you can think through and what you can imagine that you can actually bring to your broadcast and how you want to engage with your audience. We've set these up so that you can, and I forgot to touch on one very important point, how we set these up and how we allow the audience to respond. So the audience can respond with SMS, with text. They can respond with web. So they can go to a website like we just went to gbpoll.com. They can go to social media. We can also embed these types of polls in a customer's iOS or Android apps, so it looks like it's their own technology and it's just part of their app. If you think back to the NBC LA example, they actually were asking the customer to download their app to go vote. So that's what they wanted to achieve. That was their particular call to action. Or we can embed it on web pages. So we can embed this as just a poll on a web page. We can embed it in a player on a web page. We've actually done several implementations of this, one most recently with a very large nonprofit in the US, where we actually embedded it in a custom video player for pre-recorded video content, educational content on a web page. And they wanted people to be able to interact with the video and answer questions as the video progressed. So there was actually, it was like almost like an overlay, a touchscreen component to the video hosted on their website. So that's what I mean. So the options are truly endless when it comes to how we can set it up. It's all the same core backbone that drives between broadcast or web player or Jumbotron stadium screen. It depends on how you want to sort of think through what you want to do for your fans or for your audience. So that's really the summary for gaming and polling. I think it's a great time. We can open up to some questions and comments and feedback, and then I'll try and get through some of those, and then we can move over to the second piece of tech, which is Grass Valley Alyve. So let me see if I can figure out how to read questions.
Okay. I'm looking right now. I don't see any questions, but
Okay.
we do have a 15 to 20 second delay. I do have a quick question that I'll add to you. I see
Yeah.
that NBC is using your service. What about other shows like, let's say, The Voice is doing all their stuff remotely and using Teams? Are they using yours for polling too, or are they using something different?
So that's a good question. So polling and gaming is not a new technology. So The Voice, for example, is not using ARMS. There are other competitors in the space that have been doing this, same like us, for roughly around 7 years. So this is something that we can offer, and we do have like some of those like landmark clients. So some of the notable names and shows and whatnot. Like we've worked with Hearst, we've worked with Fox, we worked with obviously NBC as well. We had an implementation going before the lockdown, of course, with University of Oregon. So stadium stuff that we were doing. So we do have some big names, but we're not the monopoly, because there's a couple other big players, and all the major shows like that. They sort of bounce back and forth depending on who wins the deal. So The Voice isn't us, but we've got some big names as well that we're working with. But
you're doing sports as well. So upcoming season for sports, there could be more interactive, more betting, and other things going on with that. All right. What else are you getting into? Are you getting into other like esports with this as well?
Yeah. So we're trying to find ways to include it in esports. Right now, I think most of the esports stuff that Grass Valley is working on is under NDA for the time being. But we are working on a couple esports things, both esports in the traditional sense, like the video gaming, but also, we're looking at esports where there was a UFC fight with no fans. So that's another type of esports that I think we're going to have to start doing audience engagement with. We've worked with a couple NFL teams. Also, again, college football, basketball, like I mentioned. I'm trying to think some other debates. So we've worked with past presidential debates. So getting the feedback as to, do they think they answered the question properly? Just getting sentiment around who's winning the debate. How did this answer go? What do you think about this topic? And getting that sliding scale going on screen. So debates was another big thing. For news broadcasts, just speaking about really, polarizing issues, even things like, do you believe in climate change? Do you believe in this and that and whatever, as the news broadcast is going on, and you get the people weighing in on like a really controversial topic during the news broadcast. So that's another way you can use this as well. So sports for sure, esports are obviously very, very hot. But anything where you want to give the audience a voice. And then once you build it, usually how we work this out is once you build it into your broadcast, you do a proof of concept, and you get 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people voting. And then once you do that proof of concept, after you get the 100,000 people voting or engaging, it's very simple to go to an advertiser, and then you say, listen, I have 100,000 extra eyeballs that are engaged. Do you want to sponsor this ad spot or this quiz or this game or whatever? And that's very simple to do as well. So I think that for a lot of companies that have started using it, or broadcasters that have started using it, it's become a staple. But I think that the ones who haven't just have to figure out, okay, how do I make this pay for itself? That's not hard. And that's how we educate them on the potential of it as well.
Okay. Can you also go over what metrics do you collect? What data do you collect on it, and what's usable?
Yeah.
Broadcasters can use.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, right off the bat, we're collecting everything that's responded to. So we're getting the amount of people that are responding, and the amount of people that are responding. If you aren't asking them for information up front, then you're just getting numbers and you're getting sentiment towards issues. So you could just be getting a high level view of whether or not the thing that you asked a question about is relevant to your audience. Do they care about it? Which way do they care? You could be asking them questions about what they want to hear about next on your programming or your broadcast, and they could be pointing you in the right direction, getting an idea of what you should be speaking about. Now, to take it a step further, we also have the option to collect more data. So if you just ask a question and you don't ask the audience for anything, you're just getting numbers. But if you ask a question and you say, to answer, go here, and then you're registering, and then when the second you ask them to opt in and register, first of all, you could be collecting their email addresses for marketing and sales and obviously campaign opportunities. But you can also be collecting quite literally anything that you want to require before that customer is able to respond. So obviously, if you're going to be running a quiz or a game and there's a prize, you have a lot more authority to ask them for, hey, please opt into our email sequence with your email. What's your phone number? What's your first name? What's your last name? If they have an opportunity to actually win something of value, whereas they may not be as open to that if they're just being asked, do you like or dislike Donald Trump? You know what I mean? I don't want to give you my name. I just want to give you my opinion. But if there's a prize and you're registering them and whatnot, there's a really good opportunity there to collect some marketing data points that like a Nielsen would never give you. You're putting something out into the world. You're giving them a value, a prize, and then you can collect as many data points as you want, because that's just building out a form that has all those different fields that they have to put in their information for. So that could be a very powerful marketing tool if you want to use it to that extent. And that's what, for example, when I mentioned the Fuse example, or even the NBC example, whenever they have somebody register to win a prize, they're always getting that person to put in their information. So that's obviously because you have to if you're going to give someone a prize, but also that's a marketing tool for whatever agency is using it.
What about unintentional information or information of like your cell phone, your IP address? Does that collect any of that? The region you're in, saying this is coming from this region of the U.S. or this country. Is any of that data collected as well?
Not intentionally, no. So if it was to be collected, it would be intentionally, and we would be installing some sort of like a Google Analytics tool if you're running a website page or whatnot. So this would be completely compliant with any sort of like data protection or whatnot. So we would only collect what you're able to collect already. Yeah. So we don't collect anything unintentionally.
Okay. Excellent. With that being said, I think we should move over to Belal and his presentation on GV Alyve. And I'm not sure if he's able to present or if you want to do that here. I see him in the list here. So, but I don't see his video.
See if he try and cue him in. If he's not able to present, then I can just keep going.
Can you guys hear me?
Excellent. Yes, I can hear you. I don't see your screen, but I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna try to share my screen.
Okay.
If it works, then we can go ahead and use it. If not, then Scott can take care of it.
No problem.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Belal. And again, this will be the presentation on GV Alyve, which is the different side of that. And
yeah.
I'll take that away, and you can start anytime you want.
So it looks like I will have to restart my system. So Scott, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
All right.
Okay, let me switch my presentation.
Thanks again, everybody, for your patience during this.
Microsoft has many security requirements. I think that is what's causing most of the issues, which is not a bad thing, but it doesn't make for a seamless presentation, so I do apologize. All right, let me open this up. Okay, presenting that. Okay. Okay, are we?
You're good to go as soon as you're ready.
Can you see my screen now?
It's live now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are going to go through Grass Valley Alyve, and both myself and Belal, so we take care of all the sales and marketing for these products. The Grass Valley Alyve is a little bit different than the Grass Valley Gaming and Polling, but at the end of the day, both of these are focused on getting the broadcast to the audience where they're at, and obviously engaging them and exciting them and just giving them the best possible experience, so that it's augmenting and improving on the existing traditional broadcast workflow. So gaming and polling, we had that interaction piece. For Alyve, we have streaming, but social streaming, and basically getting whatever sources you have to your audience wherever they are in a very lightweight way. So you're basically getting your sources to potentially your Facebook. They could be watching on YouTube Live, on Twitch, on Periscope, but if you take a look at the left-hand side here, you have all of your types of inputs. So it's basically best way to put it would be like a SaaS or a cloud production tool, cloud control room that is taking all of your sources. It's giving you the ability to switch between different sources, do some graphics overlays, do some production, and then you are broadcasting or multicasting out to a variety of endpoints. So again, on the left-hand side, you have all your different types of inputs. So you have your camera, your helicopter cam, IP cam, webcam, laptop, mobile phone, quite literally anything. We just listed these ones, but anything that can capture video anywhere. It could be live, it could be pre-recorded. We're capturing that video, we're pushing it into a cloud that allows you to basically manipulate that footage to some extent and then eventually broadcast it out. Take a look at the bottom here. We have our three little producers that are basically situated all over the world, just to reiterate the fact that this is a cloud product, a SaaS product that has no infrastructure required. And then we are pushing it out to Facebook, potentially YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, LinkedIn, Instagram, OTT, web players, embedded players, in apps, whatnot. So we have a whole bunch of different types of workflows available for this. And then we have our social distribution on the end. So that's Alyve in a nutshell, and I'll show you how it actually works. I'll show you the product, because obviously seeing like the nitty gritty and the granular of how the product actually works and the software works is a little bit better than a graphic for this. So let me just get through all of our various points here just to sort of highlight the different aspects. We have our web and OTT centric sources. We have the streams that are available to whoever's managing the Alyve producer, and then all of our social distribution. So let me move over to a demo and show you what it actually looks like and how it actually functions. Okay, so this is the Alyve dashboard. So remember, on the left-hand side of that, graphic, we had all of our different types of sources. So now all those sources are coming in. They're coming into a cloud, and I've logged into my Alyve dashboard, and I want to take a look at those sources. I want to preview those sources. I perhaps want to broadcast those sources. Remember, on the right-hand side of that graphic, we had all of our social media or OTT or web players or wherever we want to put it out. So that's really that workflow. When I look at my screen here, I have two boxes. I have a black box on the left and a black box on the right. This is going to be my main viewing panel. So I have on the left-hand side a preview where I can preview any of my sources, and then eventually I will be pushing it over to the right to broadcast it. If I look here, there's the word sources, and then following just underneath it says my streams and my VODs. So what I'm seeing here would be all of my potential sources. Right now I have two sources available. These are just pre-recorded sources, but I could have unlimited amounts of sources. These gray boxes are just sources that are offline. In theory, this could be, I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here, but there could be, 10, 20, 100, 200 of these little boxes with potential sources that you can preview back and forth. You can take a look at what's going on. You can see which ones you'd like to use for your broadcast. So you're able to actually look at all these different sources, preview them, switch between them, see what's going on. And obviously the goal would be to have a whole bunch of these, and you're choosing which ones that you eventually will want to broadcast out. So you're previewing one on the left-hand side, and then you are going to be queuing up a source that you would like to actually broadcast out again to your social, OTT, or other on the right-hand side. So now we have both of them going. I can always have a preview while looking at the one queued up to go live. So here we have a whole bunch of little sprouts, and then on the right-hand side we have a police chase, drastically different types of videos. If you're noticing any lag time on the video, it is entirely because of Zoom. So as I'm seeing it right now, when I'm managing this dashboard, it's seamless. There is no lag in the video, so it's that would be a Zoom, or not a Zoom, rather a Teams issue. But you can see the video, and there's no packet loss or data loss on it. After I preview my video, I choose which one I'd like to go live, and then before I go live, I have one more chance to review it in this right-hand panel. If I want to actually broadcast it, I would be clicking the Go Live button. When I click the Go Live button, it would take me to all my potential sources. You'll see a red error message because my personal Facebook is not hooked up to this account, so that's why it's giving me an error. But if I look at all my sources here, I would have Facebook, pages, events, groups, YouTube, custom RTMP. We're continuously adding new sources, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, obviously, Instagram, LinkedIn. All of these sources will eventually be native, but right now we have these as our native with many more to come. RTMP is a pretty standardized encoding protocol that allows us to broadcast it out to quite literally anywhere. So if we wanted to do Twitter, if you want to do LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, plus a web player, for example, that's 5 different sources. We can do those all at the same time. I could have a web player on 10 different websites that I want to multicast to as I'm just entering different RTMP URLs, as many as I'd like, and they're just sort of stacking up here. Obviously, these aren't RTMP URL digits, but you get the point. So you can do as many or as little as you'd like. You can do the native integration with social, and then you're just pressing next, and you are actually able to title the video, give it a description, and then you're going live, which will actually push it out to your social source, or wherever the endpoint is set up to be. So that is the basic workflow for Alyve. So you have the preview, live, and then you go live. You see here you have my stream, so you have all of your live streams that you can preview and select from. These are very easy to set up. When I have a new stream, say I want to hook up a new camera, I'm typing in a stream name, so test stream ABCDEFGH here. I think that's my next letter that I haven't set up yet. So here, so I have a test stream H. I have a new URL, I have a new key, and then I have all of my streaming parameters. These are our benchmark streaming parameters. They can be changed, but we do have a standard resolution, standard frames per second, audio and video encoding. So that would be my test stream H. So if I had a live stream that I wanted to point right now, I could put in this RTMP address, this stream key, and then that live feed would show up right here. To show you how simple it is, I have an app on my phone that turns my phone into an RTMP streaming source, and that's something that's great for think about like citizen broadcasters or citizen journalists or whatnot. So I can turn my actual phone into a live streaming source. So I've already mapped it out to stream a test stream C, and then I have a live streaming source on my phone. So this is just to show you the simplicity. Obviously, a phone is just one example, but you could have as many of these set up quite quickly as you'd like. And I can turn my phone into a preview, and now my phone is now a preview stream that I could essentially push live. I can even, I'll show you graphics in a second, but I can put graphics over the phone picture and whatnot quite simply. So that's to show you just the functionality of it, how it works, and the simplicity of it. So that would be all my streams, adding a new stream. Video on demands are very similar, obviously just pre-recorded content. I don't have any video on demands, but if I wanted to, I could click new video on demand. It's a one-click upload and I just type in a label, whatever I want that to be called. You can upload from a desktop, you can upload from a virtual drive, any sort of content management system, any sort of storage, anywhere I can upload. If I click upload right now, I have obviously mapped to my computer, but I have also P-Cloud Drive, which is a 100% virtual drive. So the options are limitless in terms of where you can actually upload from, and obviously just done on the actual platform. So not a lot of effort or technical expertise required there. Quite simple and straightforward. Let me see what else we can walk through. Just in terms of video, we do have some transitions. So if you want to do a dissolve as opposed to a straight cut, you can do that as well. And then moving over to the left-hand side, we have a couple additional features, production features and whatnot. So we have our graphics here. So right now we have static graphics. There will be some roadmap features in Q1 that we're going to be releasing that have been heavily requested. And I'll highlight those now because one of them is not just static graphics, but HTML5 dynamic graphics, so moving graphics on screen. So that will be done in the next month or so for Q2, excuse me. So we have some graphics that we can input right now, just static, of course, but that would work for logos, lower thirds, name bars, that kind of thing. We can edit the graphics in our system. We can title them. We can delete them. We can choose manual or custom timing if you want to set some custom timing for when they come on screen, when they get removed off the screen. We can change the look and feel. We can change where they're located on the screen, the size, the position, the transparency. For example, if I want to change the look and feel of my CNN logo, move it top right and change it to, you know, say I want like a 20% transparency. I hope this shows over in the webinar, but I can make it very, very light, or I can stop that. I can change the look and feel, the location. I can make it at 100%. And this, obviously, I'm using a very simple logo, but consider this could be like a name bar or a lower third or something. So I change it to 100%, so it's very opaque. And now I can preview that in the bottom right hand. I just moved it over. So to give you an idea of the graphics functionality, I can also organize my graphics, so I can label them, so I can sort of segment based on what type of graphic they are. I have the ability for comments. So remember when I went live, I had some native social integration. So I had my Facebook pages, timelines, events, groups, YouTube. What I can do is if I'm going live to any of those sources and my audience or my followers are commenting, I can see all of those comments listed here. So as they come in, as people comment, I can see what they're saying and I can audit them, so I can review what they're saying. And if I would like, I can actually click go live or preview, and I can actually have that comment, that social proof or that social comment from somebody who's watching show up as a lower third on my screen. So that's a fun little tool that you can use to sort of show the audience is engaging and providing feedback. For example, if even an audience member asks a question, perhaps you want to answer it, you can show the question they asked to prove that they actually asked that question, and you can put that as a lower third on your screen. We have a waiting room. So we have a waiting room with a message, a countdown to a live event or whatnot. We have some stats and analytics. So we have the way we've built it out, the boilerplate or the standard version of analytics is just to review how many viewers you have, what time they're watching at, so you can see at what time how many people are watching. You can also see at what time how many people are commenting. And then if you have it going out on social, obviously these are Facebook specific emoticons or reactions or whatnot, whatever you want to call them. So you can see if there's any specific reactions based on the platform that it's live on. Some platforms just have the like, and some platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn, they have a whole bunch of different kinds of emotions. And then lastly, but certainly not least, would be the recording. So all sessions are recorded. Standard, all live sessions are recorded, but it's quite easy for us to set it up so that all incoming and outgoing feeds are recorded. Right now, it's just the outgoing feed, but we can set it up so that incoming feeds are recorded as well. Lastly, in terms of future plans for this product, this product is definitely it's something you can use today, but there's a lot of development effort going into this. So we're releasing new things, I would say, every 2 weeks. And some of the major features that we have on our roadmap, I mentioned the graphics, so the HTML5 graphics. We also have audio control, so that you can control the audio, so that the audio can differentiate from the output video. So that's great if you want to have some sort of overlay, speaking voice, overlay on a video, or you want to have some music that's different from the video audio, so you can control the audio. We're also going to be focusing on picture-in-picture, which is great for any sort of like news broadcast or interviews, that kind of thing. So those are all really relevant features that are going to be coming out quite shortly, but it's always in active development. So a lot of the things that we've created here, this all works very well, but if there are specific features that you think you would use, because we have a dedicated development team, we're very agile and we can roll out new features based on customer priority quite quickly. So that's something to always keep in mind. If there is something that you've thought of that you're like, oh, it's like almost there except it doesn't do this, or it's almost there except it doesn't do this, let us know, because obviously the scope of production features is substantial. So we work with a lot of our customers to see what they need and roll it out based on their requirements there and whatnot. So that's the Alyve platform. So that is the live streaming multicast tool. I think that would be a good spot to take a break and then ask a few questions, perhaps. See if there's something else about the technical or whatnot that someone may have. So I don't think I see any questions here.
No, I'm not seeing any questions either. We'll give them a couple more minutes here.
Is there anything that, Mark, is there anything that you wanted to clear up that you think would be a good thing that I didn't cover for people watching?
I thought you went over it pretty well on there. I do have a question about your RTMP when you send that out. And when you send it out to different sources, to different CDNs, can you put in a username and password, or is it just you have the source of when you're sending it? What are the different options you have?
So if you send it to a CDN, can you put a username password so that only a certain individual would be able to accept that feed? Is that?
No, like some CDNs, when you're sending them an RTMP feed, in order to access like the Akamai network, you have a username and password that's associated with it. So you put in the link, your stream link, you put in your stream file name, then you put your username and your password, and then it dumps you into the Akamai system, and you're going and things like that. So is that a possibility to do? And I asked that because in applications like Zoom, that's harder to do, where they'll give you something, or here's your RTMP feed. So I'd have to take that, go somewhere else, and then go into and translate that so I could add the username and password before I go to my CDN. So I'm curious if that's a capability with your system or not.
I actually would have to ask Belal if he is aware of whether or not we can do that, because I'm not sure. So Belal, if you can touch on it, if not, then I can answer that post after I speak to my CTO. I'm not sure to answer your question. I don't know if Belal, if you have anything to weigh in on whether or not we can do that. It doesn't seem like it would be a hard thing to do, but I don't want to make promises as the sales guy. That's all good for making promises that we can't do. So I don't want to do that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So as far as I know, we do, Mark. We do support that, and for CDN, we also have like many different resolutions that we can output and different bit rates.
Okay. And can you do multiple at the same time and go to multiple CDNs, or just one, and we would have to use another architecture to do the multiple streamings to different places like CDN, Facebook, YouTube, etc.?
We can do multiple.
At the same time, concurrently?
At the same time, concurrently, yeah.
Okay. Still looking. I don't see any other questions coming up here. It's a very, very interesting product. I like it, and I'm thinking about ways to involve it, especially coming up, for the university with students this fall on there. How, if we do, in our environment, if we do a hybrid solution where some students are in the classroom and some are out, in their homes, wherever that, or dorm rooms, or
Yeah.
however it turns out. Can you do that? Can you go and take a camera feed? Can you take your iPhone or Android phone and send it into there? Or maybe you have a camera that's got a wireless on it that's off on campus that you can send it through to there. So it has a lot of potential on here. It's a lot of interesting features on there. And I don't want to get into cost, but I think that would be the
Yeah, no, that's fair.
issue to entry into a system like that. And what's it going to cost? And I know, speaking as a school, it's like how are you going to reduce your expenditures right now? How do you cover? So while we're going through all of this as broadcasters in the industry, how are you reducing costs while producing more and producing differently? So that, and again, I don't want to go into how much anything is, but I just want to, that's the other factor that's being considered.
No, that's fair. And I think that a lot of, when we roll this out, especially for education, nonprofit, the costs are derived from server usage. That is just honestly how we price it, because that's how we get billed. It's about how many hours you're looking to stream and whatnot. So when we run events, or when we run things for school or for anybody really, I'd say let's find a way to make it work in the best possible scenario for maybe even a portion of your total class or your total event, or you run an event and we stream for an hour or two, not a lot of heavy usage, that you can sort of augment or prioritize where you're going to be using this for whatever you want to do. Maybe you have an event that maybe you run an event every week, and or maybe you run events every day, but only one of them is streamed, for example. One of them is streamed because that's what fits, and that works for your workflow. But we've done a lot of things where you have some sort of you have some presenters, and this could be a classroom session, or it could just be a remote event where you have presenters that are broadcast through Alyve. So we take care of all the CDN, we take care of all the delivery, and then we deliver it to a custom web player built into a website, so that it's very nicely done. It looks like the user has their own technology web player built into their website for their school or their organization or their company, whatnot. And we're just sort of helping facilitate all the back end of that. So that's certain ways that we can use it.
That's an excellent way to present that. And companies are getting used to software as a service, platform as a service, and that also is becoming the new norm on there. How do you take your, what used to be on-premise, move it off-premise, and what you use, what used to be a capital expenditure is now an operating expenditure. So all those things have already been in flux, and it's just, so that's an excellent way to present that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, looking out, any more questions from anybody? Any thoughts, any insights? We're going to start wrapping this up right now, and Belal and Scott, I thank you very much. And Scott, thank you for taking over and doing all the presentation for Belal. Belal, thanks for your answers on that. Again, I apologize to everybody for technical difficulties. It happens with this stuff, and we're all doing remote. We're all trying our best to do this. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. And again, we're going to try this again tomorrow with Sony and their FX9 camera. Cubby from Sony, or Thomas Cubby, he will be presenting on the camera. He's an excellent presenter. He knows the camera inside and out, and you'll enjoy his presentation. So, and Scott and Belal, thank you very much for joining us and presenting it. And if we have any further questions, I'll send them out to you. And please send questions in here to SMPTE Philadelphia, and we will answer them, send it out, answer to you as quickly as possible. So have a great day, have a great afternoon, great evening, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.